What's going on, everyone? My name is UnderTheRadar, and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. This is going to be the episode on Necrozma, or as my good buddy Joey says, Necrozma. So, this Pokemon is Mew. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you later. So, the reason why I basically say it's Mew is, well, because it basically is. Everything that Mew gets, this thing gets. It gets Stealth Rock, it gets Rock Polish, it gets Swords Dance, it gets Calm Mind, it gets all sorts of setup options, it gets really good coverage and knockoff, Heat Wave, Earth Power, Earthquake. Like, there's so many amazing things that this Pokemon can do. Also, I feel like the music's really, really loud. And I don't understand why, but it is. So, with Necrozma, you need to build around this as though you're building around Mew. The big issue is, typically, this thing is in Tier 1 with Mew. And a lot of people say, why would I take a Necrozma over Mew whenever Mew is more versatile? It's a defogger, it pivots, it gets access to soft boiled, which means that it can heal up more than this thing can with Moonlight. Why would I take something that its best psychic stab, Photon Geyser, which is a busted move, by the way, I'll talk about that in a minute, whenever I can just run Psychic or Psyshock with Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, or Mew? So here's the short answer. Necrozma, in my opinion, is better than Mew because of its ability. I would rather have Necrozma with its ability than Mew with its vast move pool and a little bit better speed. Here's why. So, Prism Armor. This Pokemon receives 3/4 damage from super effective attacks. So, basically, it has no weaknesses. It will never take anything, actually, for super effective damage, because nothing is hitting it for that, like, 2 times damage. So, for me, that's a big plus. I've used this thing to tank U-turns from Mega Beedrill and just Moonlight up on it. I've used this thing to tank a plethora of hits from a Zoroark and Moonlight up on it. Or kill it with something like Dragon Pulse, Earthquake, Flash Cannon, Brick Break, Iron Head for fairies. It has dual screens and Light Screen and Reflect. So it also has Power Gem, which I think is really, really cool. So the defensive capabilities of this thing over Mew is phenomenal. Whereas it's not quite as bulky for taking neutral hits. For taking super effective hits, it's even better. And because of that, one of my all-time favorite sets to run is Weakness Policy. Weakness Policy plus Rock Polish. You get the +2/+2. You can make it to where you have Earthquake, special Photon Geyser, because it can be physical or special, depending on which stat is higher. And you can hit everything super hard. It's stupid. It should never be in Tier 2. Ever. I think it is better than Mew because of its ability. Because of its ability to wall things and set up a little bit easier. Now, with that being said, because you want this to be your setup mon, never draft this thing with the idea of it being your primary Stealth Rocker or your primary bulky Psychic type. If you do, you're not going to be using it properly or to its fullest potential. So, if you are able to get Necrozma and Mew together, that's phenomenal. That is the ideal situation. Here's why. You have 2 Pokemon, both do so many different things, but they both do so many of the same things. So, by so many different things, what I mean is they can all be defensive, offensive, wall breaker, setup, stall breaker. This thing can be Stall Breaker while this thing cannot, but they can both do so many things. So you use this as a setup, use this as a bulky Stealth Rocker pivoting mon, use this as your bulky Stealth Rocker, use this as your ultimate, like as your setup mon. If you don't like having 2 Psychics, that's fine. I personally believe you never want to draft this thing as your sole psychic type. It's just my belief. It's the same thing as a bulky water type or a offensive water type. You never want to have an offensive water type without a bulky water type. So how do I build around this thing? Typically it's held in tier 1, meaning that you would want to build around it with lower tier mons. And something that I love with Necrozma is actually Ribombee. And here's the main reason. A lot of people, whenever they see Ribombee, they instantly think webs. That's cool and all. However, what I see is something that is easily checked by steel types. Very, very, very easily checked by steel types. Most steel types cannot touch Necrozma. So some of the best ones, for example, that wall Ribombee completely are Celesteela, Registeel, even Scizor to an extent. If it's like a fat one, it can tank hidden power fires. This thing sets up all over them. So heavy slams from Celesteela do very minimal damage. You have access to Heat Wave. You have access to Calm Mind. You have access to a bunch of different moves to be able to set up on them and beat them down. Another thing that this thing pretty much beats down are other bulky psychic types. This thing can beat down bulky psychic types too because it does have access to Dark Pulse. It has access to Shadow Ball, I believe. Shadow Claw. Does it not have Shadow Ball? Okay, I might be on drugs. Either way, super good at taking down bulky psychic types. Meaning, you don't have to run that. My best suggestion that I can ever give to anybody that wants to 6-0 somebody with this, have ways of ensuring bulky steals can be baited in and taken out very easily, have ways of taking out bulky psychic types, and have ways of taking out, I guess that's really it, psychics and steals, because this thing gets access to Iron Defense and Calm Mind. If you really want to 6-0 sweep somebody, you run this set. Or if you need another move or you want healing, you run Moonlight and then you run Weakness Policy. It's that simple. You set up enough to the point where you just sweep everything. That simple. So, having a way to bait in bulky steals is really, really nice. If you're not going to use this to beat down or set up on the bulky steals, you need a way to trap them and kill them. This means that something like Dugtrio is amazing. However, my opinion, Magnezone is a little bit better. Here's why. Magnezone will typically outspeed most bulky psychic types, forces them to run Shed Shell, meaning they can't be like Wakanberry if they're a Celesteela. Is it Wakanberry? Yeah, that's Electric Berry. Meaning they... No, right? Yeah, Pasha's Water. Meaning that it can trap in things like Registeel, and if they're Earthquake, you just Magnet... Rise. You Magnet Rise up on them. You beat them down with Hidden Power Fire. And then this is good to sweep or this is good to sweep. So... You also get another pivoting mon, which is super important. You have a way of breaking down bulky water types. You have a way of breaking down bulky fairy types. And another really cool thing that I think Magnezone is better than Magneton in this specific scenario is because Necrozma is also absolutely deadly under Trick Room. Absolutely deadly under Trick Room. If this thing runs a Quiet Nature with 0 speed IVs, it's going to outslow a lot of things, and with Analytic making you outspeed in Trick Room, you're able to hit things very, 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 very hard. So, ways of baiting in bulky steals, ways of trapping bulky steals, ways of setting up on bulky steals, ways of breaking down bulky water types and fairy types. So now you're looking at ground types. And ground types are a little problematic because they come in on Magnezone pretty freely. Like Like, Flash Cannons aren't the best, but if you're running Hidden Power Fire, that means you're not running Hidden Power Ice. And now you need a really good way of breaking down bulky grounds, or a really good way of switching in on them. The last video I uploaded, I mentioned Dhelmise. Dhelmise is amazing because it takes out a lot of the things that I've already mentioned for Necrozma. Takes out bulky waters, fairies, psychics. Takes out bulky psychics and is able to trap things. So, you're trapping the main two threats with Necrozma. Then, once you have them trapped, you're able to beat them depending on what they are. This traps bulky waters, grounds, fairies, psychics, beats them. This traps bulky steels with Magnet Pull, and then beats them. And you can Magnet Rise up on them to prevent yourself from dying to Earthquake. So, these four together are a little iffy, however, because right now you don't have Stealth Rocks, you don't have Spikes, you don't have much of anything. However, you have a Tier 1, a Tier 1, a Tier 2, and 2 Tier 3s. You don't have a Mega, you don't have a bulky Fairy, you don't have a bunch of different things, and you still have 7 more picks to where you can fill in all of these holes. You have 2 pivoting mons, 2 decent setup mons, 2 trapping mons. Like, you have really good utility. You have a spin blocker, so you don't have a lot of bulk, which is that's where your creativity with coming up with certain bulky mons would be. Because remember, you don't want this to be your bulky mon. You want this to be your setup sweeper. You want this to be your offensive threat. A lot of people are going to look at certain Pokemon and they're going to be like, okay, it's fat. How do I break it down? Typically, that's how they're going to look at Necrozma. You don't want that. You want to be able to break down teams with Necrozma or sweep with Necrozma. So off the top of my head, if I had to suggest something else, like a bulky mon that would also get Stealth Rocks, you also have webs, which is really, really nice for like rock polish. So I'm thinking of like offensive things that don't have Stealth Rocks. I think a Mega that fits really well with this team is actually Medicham, because of Baton Pass. So forces in bulky psychic types, Baton Pass out, you get in your Ibomba, you bop it with a Bug Buzz, you get in your Necrozma, you set up on it, you get in your Dhelmise, you beat it. So I think that works out really, really well. For Stealth Rocks, though, this is tough. What would I do for Stealth Rocks? You know what? This is what I would do for Stealth Rocks. Nidoqueen. There you go, right there. Nidoqueen. So, the reason why I decided that quickly on Nidoqueen, it was because it gives you a ground type, which is an electric immunity. It gives you toxic spikes for a grounded poison, and it gives you one of my favorite bulky pivots in the entire game. This gives you something that's weak to ice. You have like 2 really good ways of beating down ice types here. It's a way that bulky psychic types are going to be worn down pretty easily. It's a way of breaking down bulky steels, and it's a way of baiting in bulky waters, which this can typically set up on. So I think these 6 work really, really well to make Necrozma shine. Really good pivoting, really good wall breaking, really good a bunch of things. And most importantly, Necrozma can set up most weeks. You're also not very dark weak, so if you did happen to get something else weak to dark, I don't know what else you would want, because you have 2 psychic types and a ghost type. So as long as you get a bulky fairy, you'd be fine. But ultimately, I definitely think that these 6 work out really well. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I think they work out pretty well. Let me know what you guys think down in the description below. Do you think that I hit the nail on the head with this one, or could you think of some things that work a little bit better for making Necrozma a really good sweeping Pokemon? I don't think it's a very good... It's an amazing bulky psychic. It's a better setup sweeper because of Photon Geyser. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.